Today is July 6, 2023. My name is Rob Carr of Kalamazoo Right to Life, and this is Pro-Life Week. Well, today I'm going to take a little detour again like I did last time. Last time I talked about some of those recent Supreme Court decisions that went against the grain, so to speak. The conservative majority in the court ruled against affirmative action and took away Joe Biden's handout for college student loans. But today, I want to talk about another problem that Joe Biden is dealing with. Or actually, it's a problem that Joe Biden is not dealing with. And that has to do with his seventh grandchild. We've been seeing now in the news that the Biden staff has been told to, when referring to the Biden family, to tell the press that Joe and Jill Biden have 6 grandchildren. And that's the official number, 6. But tragically, there is a 7th child. A little 4-year-old girl named Navy Joan, I think Roberts, is the girl's last name. And she is the daughter of Hunter Biden, President Biden's wayward son, who has had multiple problems in his life. And for whatever reason, admittedly, the child is illegitimate. The mother was a stripper that Hunter Biden had a relationship with. The woman conceived and bore this child out of wedlock. And it almost sounds like a one-night stand. Hunter Biden has never seen this little girl and wants nothing to do with her. Perhaps she's an embarrassment to him. And I can understand that. I can understand that as an embarrassment to the Biden family in general. But it is not that child's fault, the circumstances of her conception. That little girl is innocent. She may be illegitimate in the world's eyes, but she is not illegitimate in God's eyes. She is still wonderfully and fearfully made in God's image. And that little girl has worth and value and is to be cherished by the family. And tragically, the Joe Biden family has decided to completely ignore this little girl as if she doesn't exist. And I bring this up because that fits into the larger narrative of the pro-abortion movement, that there is a unwanted child, which obviously this Navy Joan is an unwanted child to Joe Biden and to Hunter Biden. So in that pro-abortion worldview, what is supposed to happen to an unwanted child? Well, obviously, the child should be aborted or erased, deny their humanity, and obviously pretend they don't exist. And that's what Joe has done. He only has 6 grandchildren, not really 7, because he pretends like this little baby, this little 4-year-old, does not exist. Does not exist. And that's the tragedy I see in all this, is that regardless of how that baby was conceived, this little girl still needs to know that her father loves her and is willing to make, child support payments, and that she has grandparents who can love her, despite of where she lives, despite of who the mother is. It's not the little girl's fault. Her mom was a stripper. It's not. But the Biden family has chosen to act as if she does not exist because she is the unwanted child. And I just want to kind of end briefly. Back in 1982, there was a Lutheran minister who later became a Catholic priest, a very prominent pro-lifer, Richard John Newhouse. He founded a publication called First Things for many, many years, and he was a favorite among pro-lifers. Did a lot of speaking, just a sharp, clear thinking kind of guy. He really was. But back in 1982, he gave a speech at the National Right to Life Committee's 1982 National Convention. And the title of the speech is called A New Birth of Freedom. Very insightful. And I'm just going to read just a little bit about what he has to say about the unwanted child. And as I read this, put this in the context of how Joe and Joe Biden have abandoned that little girl, Navy Joan. Quote, "If we say a life is without meaning, we are not saying something about that life. We are saying something about ourselves. Meaning is not ours to give or withhold. Meaning is there for us to acknowledge and revere. Likewise, if we say a child is unloved, we are not saying something about the child. We are saying something about our failure to love. Every child, a wanted child, oh yes, please God." I like that finish where he says that if we say the child is unloved, we're not saying something about the child. We're showing our inability, our failure to love. And that's the problem I see with Joe Biden and Hunter Biden and the rest of the family. They have chosen not to extend love to that little 4-year-old. I'll be the first to admit that the situation is unpleasant. I mean, it is. I'm not going to deny that. But as adults, we all have to deal with the consequences for our behavior, for our actions. And if Hunter Biden had a relationship and conceived a child out of wedlock, and their baby was born, it is still, I feel, the obligation for the family to rally around this girl in some capacity. It's not like they don't have to necessarily adopt her or see this girl once a month, but there should still be an acknowledgement that this girl does exist, and this girl is the son of the president, and she is the granddaughter of the president of the United States. And that should mean something to Joe Biden. But unfortunately, tragically, he has chosen to act as if she does not exist. She does exist to God. She is known and loved by God. And that's a good thing. So with that, I will let you go. I will see you next time.